I do have the King Ghidorah from HIYA coming later in the year, so I'm really excited to get that one. I will be doing a video on it when I get it. And that video is now. Back in December, I had bought the HIYA Toys Godzilla after it had been suggested to me by a comment, so I bought it and reviewed it, which is the clip you saw in the beginning of the video. As I bought the Godzilla, I saw the Ghidorah as well on Big Bad Toy Store's pre-order, and I knew I had to get it for myself. So King Ghidorah finally arrived on my doorstep a few weeks ago, and I'm finally getting around to reviewing this figure. Starting with the obvious, this figure is massive, so just keep that in mind for your collection if you decide to get one of these. When I took it out of the packaging, there was tons of plastic to remove from it, which makes sense because they'd want to keep it safe in the box. The tail also did come separately from the body, and if you're gonna buy this, just know you need to heat the tail up with either a hair dryer or boiling water. Do not force it or Dremel it or change the hole in any way. Trust me, because once you heat it up, this will be super secure. Now, Ghidorah does come with this pack of 3 clear stands that you can assemble very easily. You get 3 of these clear rectangles with 9 holes in them. And of course you get 3 of these articulated arms. And as for the toppers, you get one for the middle piece of Ghidorah that kind of cradles his torso. And you have this solid piece to hold his wings in place when he's standing. Finally getting to the full figure, everything here is visually fantastic. Like I said, this figure is huge, and putting it next to the HIYA Godzilla and NECA Godzilla, they just all look great together. As much as I love this figure already, I do have some issues and concerns to point out, which I will touch on later. But for now, all around sculpt and paint is just amazing, and this is also super accurate to the film he came from. The 2 tails you have to attach have a bunch of articulation on them, all move pretty well, and majorly help with the balancing of this figure without the stands. The vein work on the wings is just incredibly done. The scale texture carried throughout the figure is consistent and adds so much to the visuals. There's surprisingly a bunch of articulation on the wings that you do have to be super mindful when moving around. There are directional joints on these connecting points, so just make sure that the joints are facing the correct direction in order to move them, because you don't want to force them in a direction that they can't move and then, snap them off or something. Each segment of the wings can clip in and out of each other for posability and seamlessness for when you want them to be moving around, which is a really cool detail that HIYA decided to add. Looking at the heads, each one is pretty well done for how small they are. Each head's mouth can open and look around, and obviously tons of articulation in each neck to help with the posing. It just can't look down at all, which brings me to the cons portion of the review. No figure is perfect, so of course I'm gonna have things to say. Like I just mentioned, the neck has really no way of looking down, since the neck segments try to go for a more seamless look at the cost of forward movement. But a concern I do have that's not the figure's fault, it's more so the design's fault. Nearly every edge of the figure has a spike of some kind, and I'm kind of concerned on that. Like, it does look cool, don't get me wrong, but in the case of a huge figure that heavily recommends the use of stands to hold itself up, the idea that this falls and something just breaks off on the edge is something that has to be kept in mind, so just be wary. Now, seeing its articulation quick, I had already covered the neck, tail, and wings sort of, so to cover what I haven't already, Ghidorah has kind of shoulder joints where the wings connect to the torso, allowing for more movement when you disconnect the wings from each other. Lower on the body there is a diaphragm rotation, which I won't lie, I don't think it has much use on posing, but it is nice that it's there, I guess. The legs do have some movement in there as well, but for his stability's sake, you'd probably want to keep these the way they already are. But the back of the box does show that it does get into this pose that people like to call the crawling pose, so I guess there is somewhat of a use with those joints. Overall, this figure is undeniably amazing. The size and attention to detail that HIYA gave to this figure is just so worth it, especially for the $130 price point. HIYA's quality to price ratio is pretty unbeatable in my opinion, so I'm very satisfied with my purchase, and the 3-month wait was not too bad, especially seeing how this figure turned out, so I'm just super happy with that. And I cannot wait to animate this figure in a full stop motion. Let me know if you guys want to see that. And if you do, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video.